we are back with the Grown Ass Business Show, where we talk to other business owners about how they done it. Let's find the breakdown of how other people have built extremely successful businesses doing it their way, because that is a thing and it's possible. So Amber is here with me today. Do you know that in my head, I always call you Lily? I
A
have
lot of
this,
people do. Yeah.
really? I
Yeah.
have this
Because it's a
thing where
pretty
I
nice name, you know?
and I have this thing where I kind of rename people sometimes energetically. And I know your name is Amber, but even when I look you up on my phone, I look up Lily.
I love it. Well, I'll be Lily for you.
You're Lily for me.
Yeah.
So, what I love about this meeting is we don't really know each other, but we know a lot of people in common. And when I was interviewing Veronica some time ago now, she was like, you have to interview Amber because she's going to love talking about this stuff because this is her jam. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I know her vicariously through other people. I follow her. I love her. And you know other people that I love, like Tracy Litt. So this is really kind of the first time that we're talking,
I
though.
know. I love it. I'm so excited.
Yeah, and I'm super excited to have you here because it sounds like you're aligned with the things that I love, which is all about building an uber successful business, but on your terms and in your way, and with the strategy that's right for you, because that's a thing. So tell the people, what do you do? What is your business?
Yeah. So I really think about it as like being a life first business coach. And it's so silly. It's like silly to even say that, but I know you know that it's not in the world that we live in. And what I mean by that is just, we don't have a business if we don't have a life. And a lot of folks engineer their business as if it is the whole thing. And of course, there are some people in the world like Alex Hermosi, which I know you're a fan. His life is his work, and he says that, and he like really owns that.
Mm-hmm.
And so therein, he has a life first business because his business is his life, and he shows that and he names that. But there are a lot of people who don't want to black out the room and just optimize sitting at the computer for hours on end, and they want to be with their children and their partners, and they want to travel, and they want to go be like a little woodland fairy like I am, and write their poetry and do all these other things, and also have a really awesome business that makes it possible for you to have the time and the resources in order to do all of those things. And so I coach mostly female entrepreneurs, but a few good men as well in the mix. And I help them really do that, build a model that is aligned with who they are, how their energy works, how their life works, and how they want to help and serve in the world. And it's really fun and super rewarding. And I'm blessed and grateful to have had the opportunity to do this for 10 years and build a really successful business that's done a lot of really great things.
I was just about to ask you, how long have you been doing that? So
Yeah.
thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, we could go down a whole Alex rabbit hole because I do love a lot of his contents and theories and also don't agree with a lot of it, even though I think he's right, but I don't agree with all of it. And I think that's confusing to people.
Yeah.
Like he's totally right, but a lot of the conclusions that he has arrived to, and this is the first time I'm saying this publicly, but I'm going to say it. Love you, Alex, mean this with love. He's gotten there kind of in this Neanderthal way, which is like, I have so much resilience and energy in my body that I will bang my head against the wall and make all the mistakes and break the things until I break through the wall and figure it out. And then he arrives at these conclusions that are like, yes, that's true. That is how business works. But I think the challenge is, to your point, not everybody has that level of energy for their business. Not everybody has that kind of time. And not everybody wants a business that requires that much out of them for them to come on the other side and be like, oh, okay, now I get my business.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I always say, like, in many religions, like the Buddha always said, we're all going to the same place. You can choose the path of suffering or you can choose the path of joy. And I think that it's that way in business too.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I don't want to Kool-Aid man my way through it, and I have the ability to. I'm actually a pretty former Division I athlete, resilient, have a lot of energy, generator type. And I really understand what you're saying. And these principles of, babe, like it just kind of is this way. And like he talks about, and it's true. I think a lot of these elements are in essence true, but there's more nuance around it. And I also think, I just said this in a training with one of my programs that I'm teaching right now. I believe our businesses are the answer to what we're trying to evolve, what we're trying to change. And so just because it has been doesn't mean it has to be. And that in and of itself is what bears examining. And there's just so much liberation, I think, in that process.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Okay, so true. So this just shows that we really don't know each other. I did not know that you were an athlete. And I have this theory that athletes, like serious athletes and like trained artists, are some of the best business owners because of the discipline it takes to get there. So tell me about that. What was your sport?
Yeah, I played soccer in college. And did you too? Did you play soccer?
No, but I'm Argentine, so of course.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. So I started playing when I was like 9, and I just knew, okay, this is going to be my ticket essentially, because I knew that my parents weren't going to be able to afford college for us. And so I just sort of made the decision and doubled down. And my parents were really supportive of my career. And I mean, we were scrappy, but yeah, I got there. I got the scholarship. I was the captain of my college team. And I learned so much, about myself through injury and my love of the game. And I still play to this day. I play in a women's league every Monday. And the game in and of itself, if you know soccer, there's so much metaphor and beautiful parallels and lessons for life and also for business. And I really actually realize I teach and I coach my clients like they are my players, like they are my teammates on the field. And the principles, don't force the ball, switch fields, bring it back, have patience, shoot, if you don't take any shots, you're never going to score. There's so many elements there that I bring into what I do. And then of course, just the sheer volume of training that was required to get to play at that level. And then, 3 times I had to relearn how to walk after having major knee surgery. So then not only like rehabbing from the surgery, rebuilding the leg, learning how to walk again, but then getting back to full tilt Division I athlete status multiple times over. It's like, I look back on that version of myself and I think, I'm so grateful for those lessons and that learning. And I was able to tap into that well of resiliency to understand what was inside of me and then bring that forth. And so the stuff, in business now, it's not to belittle any of it or that it's not challenging, but I think like back and I source back to the versions of me on the field alone on a Saturday in high school when everybody's at the party and I'm just kicking balls by myself, chasing them in the woods, getting poison ivy, like for an hour, 2 hours before dinner, because the only way to get your game to that level and your skill to that level when you have a dream that normal people don't have is to put in the work.
Yeah. And I think that's parallels business. I talk about that all the time. You'll actually appreciate this. I talk about this all the time in the way that I teach about business. I always say like business is like a sport or like an art form. You would never walk out, and I use soccer a lot because Messi, Argentina, it's relevant now. You would never walk out to on a soccer field and expect to bend it like Beckham or expect to like thread the ball through people's legs like Messi. You would never expect that of yourself. There are rules, there are scales, there are tactics and techniques that you need to learn, and you need to work those techniques and you need to work those skills. Yeah. And it's the same in business.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. You're going to be bent over, sweating, breathing heavy. You're going to miss the net more times than you're going to put it in. But then you learn how to hit that ball in that particular way. You learn how to write the word in the particular way. You learn how to align your offer with what you're creating in your content. You learn how to coach the client. You learn how to work with the person no matter what the challenge is. And yeah, so that is just a huge driving force for everything in my life, my business, of course. But I will always be my core a soccer player. It's kind of like how I look at life. And I have so many lessons I think about back in high school. My high school coach used to say to me, this is like my favorite story. He's Colombian and he's this tiny little Colombian guy with this accent. And he would say, "You're watching a good game, Radzovic." And that was my maiden name. And he literally like called me out. I was on the field and he'd say, "You're watching a good game." And It was so, and it fired me up so much because he was right. Every time I'd be like, but I knew he was telling the truth and he was saying it because he knew my potential and he knew that I wasn't playing at my full potential. And so it was like wake up, get going, girl. And it was such a gift, to have someone who could see me like that. And so I aspire to be the same kind of coach for the people that I serve.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your business. So you're 10 years in. What made you start?
I had a near-death experience when my daughter was born. And which actually, as we're recording this, it was 11 years ago tomorrow. So wow. It's a big milestone. It's always, emotional and big because it was 11 years ago that the day not only did I become a mother, but also the day that I had this really powerful experience. And I already was on this track of knowing motherhood was changing me dramatically just through pregnancy. And I also knew from a very young age that I wanted to write books. I wanted to speak. I wanted to help people. I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. I came through a lot of really hard stuff at a very young age. So I've just always been wired differently. I've just always have had to just kind of see through a different lens and know myself in a way that seems like much sooner than most people for truly for emotional survival, to be able to make it and to thrive. And so I had that early. And then, you throw the athlete piece in, which it was so smart of my parents to get me that knowledge of self and I was a gymnast for a long time too. Yeah. So all of those things mixed up together, I have this profound quantum leap in consciousness, this new knowledge of self. I'm now a mother, which is also a quantum leap in consciousness. And I just know I've got to figure this thing out. I've got to launch this business. I've got to walk away from my career. And I was one of the top sport marketing professionals in the country at my alma mater. And I knew that this wasn't the way I wanted to do motherhood. I couldn't work these nights, these weekends, these, 60-hour a week, this gig that I was in. And so it took about 9 months from when Ani was born. I started building this business in the background. I would, the nights, I'd finally get her to sleep and I'd be there with my little Squarespace website. And my first client said yes on a Thursday night. I went to work the next day, had a really hellacious day. It was the universe saying to me, you can't ignore this anymore. You just figured out how to make some money. If you can do one client, you could attract two. If you could attract two, you could attract three. The following week, I went into work. I gave my notice with literally one client on the books and walked away from a 10-year career and launched my business. And so, but the thing is the resiliency, the challenge had been accepted. I had this thought, Sally, it was lady, look what you were able to do in the 10 years that you were in this job with all of your time, all of your energy, all of your resource, all of your creativity, all of your skills. Look I went from being a $20,000 a year marketing coordinator to a senior associate athletic director, not a senior, associate athletic director for marketing strategic initiatives with benefits, master's degree, the whole thing. Imagine what you could do if you took all of your time, which you've never had before, by the way. It's always been directed towards education, towards being on teams, all these things. You've never had it pointed right back fully to yourself to build your thing. I was building my career, but I wasn't building this, right? And you get to be with your baby, which is what you really want. Imagine what you could do. You have no ceiling. There are no limitations. There's nobody to tell you, hey, you just got a promotion, settle down, do your job. There's nobody to tell you anything. You can go and create it in a limitless way. And so it fired me up so much. In my first year, I did 6 figures and I was really building from this nap time hustle because Ani was little. She was 9 months. And I, would work when she was sleeping. And then when my husband would be home he was a police officer at the time he'd have the shift where he'd have one day off. I would work and I did it. I did the thing. Client by client, small program by small program, learning as I went, learning how these things multiply. I started with a bunch of design work too, because I knew that I could do it and I knew people would pay for it. And it would be an easier sell for me as I was developing my skills as being a coach, because I didn't feel super viable yet as that. I needed to really prove my model. And I did, and I did. And it's been really incredible to just watch the evolution and the progression of also just skills, guys. I think this is the thing. I don't think we talk about that enough, but it's that reps piece.
Yep.
I've taken so many shots at this point, and I'm using the soccer analogy, guys, on this. I've coached so many people at this point. It'd be impossible to even try to count. I've helped so many people build their businesses and grow. And so that's compounding, and it's easier now. It's easier and it's even more fun,
Yeah. Yeah. I totally get that. Yeah. Do you find that, because I've coached now hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in different businesses, do you find that there are certain patterns that you see and you're okay, wait, I know this play?
Yeah. And it's and I think because you attract the people that are aligned with your energy, so you're not getting too many offshoot type people. So you're getting people who are in similar tracks and they're in similar life seasons and things. Mm-hmm. And I helping everybody. Here's the thing. So niche. Look, if you have a dream and you want to build this business, I don't care where you are. I believe in you. I believe in every person. If you tell me what your dream is, like I'm already signed, sealed, delivered, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll be able to notice quickly, like your tenacity, your grit, your resiliency, how hard you're willing to work, like all that stuff. I'll pick up on those elements and those pieces. But I really believe if someone has the wherewithal to like come out into the open and give their dream air and say, this is what I want to do, and they're giving it oxygen and they're offering support to it, it's like, giddy up, let's go, let's build this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I always make a lot of content about you don't have to niche down necessarily.
Yeah.
And the reason why people tell you, usually it's business coaches telling you that you need to niche down because it makes their life easier as a business coach.
Yeah. And then it's something that they can put on content and sell from, and it make you think you have to have it.
Yep. Totally.
We're very much cut from that similar cloth where I'm like, you know, I said something today in a post. It was like the intention of the creation will always have the spirit in it, you know, of like, and so it's really important to vet, you know, and to pay attention to the energy of where things are coming from. Yeah. And there are a lot of female entrepreneurs out there that have been really subscribed to models and to ideologies that are inherently not designed for them, not designed for their highest good. And I said in this training earlier today too, the vibration, the energy with which you are trying to create your business, like from an ethics standpoint, from like the actual beliefs you hold about it, that's not always a match for where you're buying your strategy from.
She said it, not me. She said it, not me.
And it's like, there's a reason why you're frustrated, babe. There's a reason why it's not working. Yep. And it's because it's a blatant energetic mismatch, and it's contradictory to who you actually be. And so that's a really good thing. That's actually, you're actually doing it right if that's not working.
Yeah. And can we just I just want to say, I mean, we're talking about, you know, former pro athlete soccer player. So this is not a woo-woo floating person. No. Like you understand tactics and skills to hit the goal. I mean,
like energy, like when I step on the field, I know in 2 seconds who I need to be aware of, who is like, please give me the ball when I'm near her, who, you know, I know quickly, and I know exactly how to position myself given my skill set and what my abilities are. I'm sizing people up in a second. It's just, you have to. It's for safety and it is for your success trajectory. And you have to be able to make, this is the other thing too. It's like decision making, the level and the pace at which you have to be able to make a decision on the field when the ball is coming to you and there are bodies coming around you and knowing where you have to play the ball. It's a high level of a brain that can physically do these things. And I'm a center midfielder. So for those who don't know what that is the playmaker. That is the visionary of the field. That is the person directing the actual, like the whole game. So I'm coming to business as that player.
Right. Yeah. I'm
not just a goal scorer. I can score goals, but the goal scoring people, they're a different animal. The defenders are a different animal, right? The wing, every single person on the field, like I will ask people if they tell me they played soccer, I go, oh, you did what position did you play? And the second they tell me, I'm like, I know everything.
Right.
I know everything about you in a second based on what position you play.
Yeah. I know what you're going to be good at. I know where your blind spots are. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. My God, I could talk to you forever about this. This is so interesting. So I'm a professional dancer. That's my background. And so I totally get like being in space and needing to know what's going on at all times. Mm-hmm. I almost fell off a stage once. I also have fallen on stage 3 times in one piece where I had the solo number. So, but it was like such a beautiful experience because it's like, oh yeah. And sometimes you fall and then there's the floor.
And then you fall again.
And it's embarrassing and hundreds of people saw that. Yeah, it's okay. And then you stood up and you were fine. You know, you were embarrassed for a few days. Yeah. And it's like, there's something really beautiful about that.
In the arena with the dust on your brow, putting in the moves and the work and doing your art. And there's nobody I want to hang out with more.
Yeah. Totally. So I think this is really interesting. I saw some of your content that you posted today in your stories, and it made me question. I was like, ooh, I wonder how she got there. If you're 10 years in and you started by coaching people, and at what point do you remember, at what year did you go, okay, I know who my people are. I know what I'm really good at. I know what I like to do. I know what I want to do. I know how I serve people well. I know what my product is. How many years did it take you to get to that place?
I mean, I'm still evolving it all the time.
Thank you.
I don't know. I'm like, babe, I don't know. Is this a trick question?
Well, kind of, because I find it is a trick question. I find that many of my clients, and maybe you experience this too as a business coach, they're like, just give me the thing. Tell me the thing. Tell me the one thing
Doesn't
to do.
exist.
Tell me,
That's
and
not
I
real.
want this static. I want a static, like, here's my positioning statement. Here's my messaging statement. Here's my product offering. Here's the offer suite. Like, and I just want it to be static so I can like work that, right? It's a human safety desire for sure that we want things to be static. I mean, we want things to be static in life, right? We find a good moment. Speaking of like the nap time hustle, I'm in it now.
Yeah.
Literally. There's a baby napping in the room next door. But we find these moments and we're like, okay, I want to grip onto this moment and make the rest of life look like this. And we do this to our businesses. So I genuinely, it wasn't a trick question. I really wondered if there's a time where you were like, got it, I know my people, I know my offer, or if you are aware of the evolution.
I know myself, and I give myself permission to continue on my evolutionary journey. I'm also a poet. I'm a poet, I'm a writer, I'm a business mentor. And I'm a branding, I'm going to say expert. I mean, I taught sport marketing at the university. I understand brand. I was responsible for the UNH Wildcats brand. I understand the emotional, what are the words? It's like the acrobatics really that go along with what brand really is. Because the thing is that a brand is just a collection of memories and experiences that we have in relationship to business, to something, right? It's not, you can't hold it. It's essence, it's energy. And so I know we're like, oh, we don't want to be woo, but like, babe, everything is woo. It's quantum physics. It's all energy.
Yeah.
And so I like to think about I just had this amazing woman named Leslie Zane on the podcast, and she wrote this book, The Power of Instinct. And she talks about the brand connectome. And she's talking about really like, think about it like this. The way neural pathways connect in the brain is the way that we understand brand. And so the goal is to create a bigger brand brain tree, if you will, about a given brand. Like if I say the word Starbucks, y'all are like, ding, you got that one. Like that's easy. If you said messy, easy, got it. Visuals, right? Some people are going to have positive, some people are going to have negative associations with these brands. But the thing is like we are creating the brand world essentially in the ether, in the way that a person experiences you and what it is that you do. So because I know that brand is a subconscious experience more than it is conscious. And my work is about connecting energetically with the people that I serve and being in my art. And I really do think of business as an art form. And when I think about living the poem that is my life, like living the art of my life, bringing all these things together, that's what you're going to get with me. Like it's like, I'm not going to tell you, I will tell you concrete things, of course, but then there'll be this huge asterisk on it. Like, yeah. And how do you want to do it? How can you be the most you in this? Because that's how you'll always be of highest service. And so when I teach in my courses, I read my poetry, lead them into prompts. We go into deep dive conversations with ourselves, because that's what's going to extract your highest art form and allow you to speak to what actually moves you. And the question I asked my group today, and I'll just share it here for anybody who wants to play with it, is go to the place where your heart meets your business. And we did like a little, just close your eyes and just like put your hands on your heart and feel that. Just go there for a moment. Where does your heart meet your business? Why are they connected? Like go to the sacred intersection of those two things. I guarantee you'll extract story. You will extract inspiration, visual that you can use. That's how we actually connect, because of heart math, because the fact that our hearts actually do have resonance and sync up when we're together in the room. And so I'm always playing with the sort of the and both. I'm a very analytical, logical person. My brain can just take us away. But I remember, that we're in these bodies and there are these incredible tuning forks and instruments that help us connect. And so when we put the whole thing online together, it's just like, it's like a symphony, it's the most beautiful thing that there is. And I refuse to have business feel like anything other than that.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it is the act of creation, and that is art, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally get that. I mean, I had an art teacher in college tell me that art is just how we make meaning.
Yeah, I love that.
And I was like, somehow I get that. I get that.
Well, and if you think about, whenever we're more in pain, what do we go to when we want to be inspired? What do we go to? Like we forget that music is art. We forget that, the mug that you're drinking out of is, it can be art. It also cannot be, but you know, the way you put things in your home, the things you choose to put on the wall. Like, I don't know. I love bringing people back to themselves,
Mhm.
you know, and just saying like, wow, look at you. Look at all those things you chose to do. Look at the way you've presented yourself. Look at the way you've put the plant on the wall. Like, talk to me about that, because there is meaning in all of it. I think because we get so gripped with fear, Sally, that we run from it, and we want the sure thing, like you said. And the only sure thing is that we're going to be here for a temporary period of time.
Yeah.
And so when I remember that, it just liberates me so much to be free, you know, and to play and to live my life, you know, in the richest way that I possibly can. And I'm so grateful to live in a time-space reality where I'm a woman whose voice matters, and there's safety for me to share my voice, and there's an ability to build a business. You know, I think about my mom. She was an entrepreneur, and she unfortunately had to sell her business, and for really challenging circumstances. And she was a photographer, but she also created an agency. So she would send photographers out to corporate jobs, and she was way ahead of her time. This was in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I just think like, that was so badass. And she's like, I put the down payment on our house back then. Like, my business did that. That's like in my blood, you know?
Yeah.
But then this like heartbreak happened, and this horrible, and then she never picked her camera up again. And she's an artist, and she never like did art that way again. And I remember thinking all of my life, you know, mom paved the way, and I want to do my version of that. And it's an honor and in service to her, you know, as much as it is to what I'm doing and to show my daughter what's possible. And so there's so much meaning. It's just like brimming. I'm a poet. I can't help it. I make everything, you know, have like richness and meaning in it.
But I love it. I mean, you're a poet soccer player. It's like,
Yeah.
Are we sisters? Are we this? I'm like a dancer operations strategy lover. Like, and people are like, what? How did that make? And I'm like, it actually all makes sense. It's all sewn together. It all flows.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. In your business experience specifically, because I always tell my clients, like, I always say this, so you are a perfect example of this, and I'm going to use you as a model. A lot of times the people that we're looking up to online who have a huge following and who are really successful, they've been at it for 10 years. So I love that you were like, I've been doing this for 10 years and I didn't know that, because I always say, like, the people that you're really looking up to and trying to be like in your year one, they've been around for 10 years. So thank you for that.
We've made a lot of mistakes.
And that's going to be my question is, can you share some of the mistakes that you've made along the way? Because I also feel like when we make a mistake or have a bad launch or have a bad experience, we think it's only happening to us. And I'm such a failure. I suck. I shouldn't be doing this. Oh, that's a sign from the universe that I shouldn't be doing this. And it's like, no, we just probably don't talk about our mistakes enough. So do you have any like big mistakes that you remember that also helped you grow?
Yeah. So I'm like, which one? Let me pull out which part. I know I hired a marketing like coach, team, mentor kind of collab group years ago, and they were going to come in and like really help us do things better and like look at where the blind spots and the holes were. It was a $40,000 investment, which at the time was a significant investment. And I remember thinking like, my gosh, this is like more than my down payment on my house, but it's going to be great, you know? And I was like willing to be bold and take risks and all this. And there was supposed to be like some implementation and all these things. And, you know, my team and I were like fully on board. Okay, we're going to do it. And we were having these calls with them and we were going through things. And it just was like very clear early on that it wasn't aligning, that it was kind of like they were philosophically trying to get us to do things strategically that we had like purposely not done. And then I got to this point where I realized they were like, oh, wow, your questionnaire is really good. Like, we're going to use this as an example for other clients. It was just like, and it was just a mess. It was just a mess. And it's like, I didn't even really know how to get out of it. I didn't do a good job of communicating like that. The scope wasn't scoping. And I just like took the loss, took the hit. My team they weren't burned by it because I was just fully transparent with them. I was like, this is a dumpster fire. And it's actually what it did though was affirm that we know so much more than we were giving ourselves credit for. So it was like we were giving our power away. And it was actually very empowering to us to then go, whoa, we're actually really good at this. And it kind of fired us up to like basically do everything we were doing and take none of their advice And so sometimes that happens. You get like really, costly lessons in terms of financially. And I of course I just used it as a challenge. I was like, $40,000, fine. And then we ended up having a launch, a 6-figure launch later, like a couple months later, with a brand new program that I just decided to put together and build. And it was like the spirit of that fire is what made that happen. And if I hadn't gone through that experience of just like really feeling disempowered, I remember I was like getting on the phone trying to have these sessions with this person. And it was just like, I just wasn't advocating well for myself. I was kind of getting steamrolled.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like feeling bad. I just like felt like, man, I must suck at this. And I think the flip of the coin is when you're a business coach getting business coaching and it doesn't feel good, it's like double whammy, because then you collapse a bit inside and go, if I can't make this work, then I'm not qualified to be coaching these people right now. And I've coached so many clients around that where they've just felt like they're chasing their own tail, and then they're feeling disempowered to coach the clients that they're coaching because they're having a hard experience. And I learned the lesson from that's actually like part of the deal. Like you're gonna miss shots on the field. You're gonna lose the game. It doesn't make you a bad player. It actually is gonna be there to help you get better.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was it was painful though. Like as I talk about it, I can like feel in my body, like it was just such constriction. But it also empowered me after that to be way more discerning about what I would invest in. And then also to like really vet whom I'm going to let inside of my, my business world. And so, yeah. And I feel like I've learned that in like lots of splotchy ways along the path, but that was like a real cannonball version of it. And it has a happy ending, of course, but yeah, giving your power away, man, it's a humbling thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that helped anybody else, but that helped me. Because I felt that way in the past of being an expert business coach and scale coach and hiring a business coach and really disagreeing with him, but feeling that internal voice of maybe there's something he knows that I don't know.
Yeah.
And so not advocating for myself and not being like, wait a minute, that strategy doesn't actually make sense for these 3-4 reasons. And when I finally did that, he like kind of ghosted me and disappeared. Because he couldn't. I've had that experience when I finally was like, wait, this actually doesn't make sense. And here's why. And so, yeah, sometimes we give away our power because of the price tag.
Yeah, I know.
On them, or they have a bigger audience than us, or
all the above. Mm-hmm.
Right? Like all these things. And sometimes it's the price we pay for realizing I also have 30 years of experience. I also have a lifetime of doing things. I also know things. I have amazing intuition. Like I know when something doesn't feel good in my business, it's not for me. Like when I coach my clients and someone's like, it just doesn't feel right. Oh, I'm like, listen to yourself first
100%.
Before listening to me.
Yes. 100%.
Because if it doesn't feel right, your subconscious
is going to
make sure it doesn't work.
Yeah. I can think of a million examples to that point. And I think because I'm always course correcting from that place of listening, and my team will tell you, like they literally have this like acronym OTF on the fly because they know that I'm going to create as we go most of the time because I'm feeling what needs to be said next. And I always like have my little finger to the wind of like, where are we going in this industry and where humans are right now and with the economy, with the world, with the, like, are people tired? And so it's like the trends they shift so quickly. And then I'm coaching people downwind from that too. So it's like, I have to always be listening and paying attention and then helping, with those adjustments and stuff. So it's very, it's a very active process.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I totally relate to exactly what you said there.
I totally get that. I mean, I made a small course that I'm launching in October, and everybody like on my team and some of even my clients or some close friends are like, do you understand the definition of maternity leave? And I'm like, I hear you, but I feel like the world needs this right now. I feel like people need this. And there may be, it's like, I love my accelerator and I love my methodology. And I feel like people just really need this right now. And I need to do it. And my soul needs to offer it. It's not even like a business move. I'm like, I don't really know why, but my soul feels like I need to offer it to people. And so they're just like, fine. So I get that. Last question. What are you looking forward to in your business?
A couple things. I'm writing another poetry book right now that's just sort of like pouring out, and it's just really delightful and really fun. So it's my second one. And I'm going to host another live event next year. It's the first time in 5 years. I'm back. We're going to go back to this incredible theater called the Music Hall. And it feels just very healing to go back and to do it as this version of myself. It's hard to even put into words what that is, but I just kept getting over and over and again, like, you need to email the Music Hall. You got to go back. You got to go back to stage. You got to go do that. So I'm really, really excited about that. And then just like, I think in general, just where I am in my knowing of myself and knowing how I help, and the sort of like legitimizing of that, like the real syncing up of that and the real believing of it in a way that feels like just compounded. And to your point, like I'm the captain of the team. I'm a leader and I just need to lead. And I know how to do that. I really, really know how to do that. So it's like this settling into truth and just I think for all of us here that are listening to this, the world really does need voices and leaders right now. The world really does need people who are able to discern a lot of what we're talking about here and bring that very thoughtfully into the fold of how you are creating what you're creating. And I think it does need a lot of real-time creation. I think the set it and forget it stuff is just, it served its purpose, and it has, but I've always been a hands in the clay, heartbeat forward teacher, coach. Even in my programs, all of my clients will tell you I have a program with 100 people in it. It's like, I know them all. I know them and I love knowing them. And anybody that comes over the threshold of my program, you're going to be known. It's important. And so that to me feels like the answer, of what's ahead. And I'm really, really grateful for that.
That's amazing. I love that. I'm excited. I want to learn more about your in-person event. Yeah. Do you know when it is?
I don't know yet. We're working on dates, but it'll be in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So I can tell you that for sure.
So in a beautiful area.
Beautiful area. Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. Well, where can people find you?
Yep. I'm at amberlilystrom.com and on Instagram at amberlilystrom. And then I have a podcast called Ignite Your Dream.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. I hope we're friends now.
Yeah, totally. Of course.
We're friends now. I'm going to bug you. I'm going to talk. I love everything about this conversation and how you've come to this place. And I'm excited to know your business and be your friend. So thank you for sharing.
Hey, Mama. Proud of you. It's a big moment right now. And you're doing so great.
Well, thank you. There's my little, speaking of what you put in your room, right? Yeah. That was given to me by my clients. It's a little Leo representing my little Leo that's in the next room. And I think they gave it to me for him. And I was like, this is for me. Yeah, I need it. It's my emotional support teddy bear. So while I'm in here, sometimes I hug him on calls, or he's in our interviews. So yeah.
You're doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming.